Welcome to Moving Iron with Casey Seymour and Greg Peterson, the podcast for anyone and everyone involved and interested in the business of ag equipment. If you want to understand what trends and market forces are impacting the price of your iron, you've come to the right place. Buckle up, it's time to move some iron.
Hello and welcome to Moving Iron Podcast. This edition of Moving Iron Podcast is brought to you by John Deere. I've got Greg Machinery Pete Peterson on to talk about what's happening in the market. Greg, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, Casey. How are you doing?
Doing good, man. Fresh off of your golf trip, man. How did you shoot good, or did you?
I played terrible, but we had so much fun in Scotland. We did 12 rounds in 8 days. Three of my longtime golf buddies. I think all of us realized that we probably never played that much golf in such a short period in our life. And when you're 60, the back and the hips and the knees.
Yeah.
No, it was super fun though. Scotland. It was funny because Scotland, of course, is in the World Cup, so they were all just super jazzed over there. They stayed up till 2 a.m. for a start time on their first game. Mm-hmm. The bars were reserved, and those Scottish people are just fantastic. So then we encountered on the way back, we connected through Boston, and of course that's where the team was playing their first two games in the World Cup. Mm-hmm. And the city of Boston was just gobsmacked at the Scottish support and fans, and literally they ran out of beer in Boston. We got those reports over in Scotland, and the Scots are like, "Oh yeah, that doesn't surprise us."
Yeah.
We saw a bagpipe army marching down to Fenway Park.
That would be cool. Yeah.
No, Scots. If you ever get a chance, any listeners to go to Scotland, sightseeing, golf, whatever, the people are just amazing.
Yeah. I've always heard that it's real friendly people in that part of the world. So
my golf game was terrible, but we had fun nonetheless.
that's even though you might have had a terrible golf game, you still got to play golf in Scotland, so it's not that bad.
Yeah, it's been 10 years since I've been there. I'm trying to convince Mrs. Pete. I got to take her over and show her how beautiful the land is over there, and see if she wants to spend some time. I would love to retire in Scotland. It's when it's 80, 90 degrees, even here in Minnesota, it's like 64 in Scotland. It's just, even as the rest of Europe has been like a record heat wave, I think Scotland has still been pretty cool. So I like that cooler weather, but that's just me.
Getting a little bit of that cool air off the ocean right there. So yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Right on. Okay, man. Well, you're fresh off of a trip down to Texas to film an auction. Talk a little bit about what you saw down there.
Yeah, I got back and then a day later hopped a flight and went down just northwest of Dallas, Elvard, Decatur, Texas area. We were down there for day one of Joey Martin Auctioneers 2-day heavy equipment auction. Joey Martin, great auctioneer out of South Carolina with locations in Georgia. And then in Elvard, Texas, they have 3 sales a year there. Yesterday, they were selling from 9 a.m. till 10 p.m. So wow. Joey and the crew were going at it. Today's day 2, but very solid. It was interesting, Casey. I had talked to a number of ranchers there that have grown up in that area northwest of Dallas. And up here, we hear anecdotally, all the people moving to Texas and stuff. But this rancher said, Pete, he said, our county here has doubled in population in the last 8-10 years.
Oh, wow.
So the construction equipment that's sold, the good used stuff, is exactly like we're seeing on the ag side. In fact, maybe even a little stronger. Couple highlights I filmed. There were 5 22 model Cat D3 dozers with kind of high 2,000, I think mid 3,000 hour range. And I think one of them got up to 138, 880, 128, 126, a couple of 125, 120. A lot of demand on those. Just a good solid sale all the way through. I think they had a 23 mile Kubota KX 84S2 mini excavator, 648 hours for 89.6. So our auction pricing had been showing strengthening used construction values. And we interviewed Joey Martin and kind of pinged him like, Joey, what are you seeing? Because they sell all across they sell all over the world. But he said the market's strengthened. So that was interesting. And while we were in Texas, my goodness, some other fantastic sales here the last few days, Casey. Our friends at Wheeler Auctions and Real Estate had a kind of a humdinger last Thursday. I think it was Thursday. It was in Carthage, Illinois. Kirby Fecht. My friend Kirby texted me from Wheeler, and he said, "Pete, did you see the planter?" And I had seen it, and it was a 20 model John Deere DB80 48 row 20 inch, but it's over $311,000. And Kirby said, "Pete, the bidding action on that thing was just intense. The interest in it before the sale." Then again, I suppose, what's a new planter cost? And here you got a 6-year-old one, super nice. Tractors, they had a bunch of a 24 model 8R 370s. I think the highest got up to 370. Very solid there. They had, what else? The smaller tractors, mid-sized loader tractors, of course, still doing well. They had a 25 model 6R 155 with a loader, 361 hours with warranty. That did 173. I think that's the highest auction price on a 300-plus hour 6R 155 with a loader in 18 months. So that was last Thursday. Also last Thursday, a farm auction in Poplar Grove, Illinois by our friends at George Auction Service. And wow, this sale had a couple real eye-openers, namely the Combine, a 24 model John Deere S770, 243 engine hours, sold with no heads for $446K. Now that's the all-time record high auction price on an S770. And it's, in fact, it's 8,000 over the previous record from almost 3 years ago, back in August of 23. So, I mean, there's no other way to take that other than that the supply generally is tightened over the past 18 months. Folks are not buying new, and so what they want and need is the best used, and here was a 2-year-old kind of like new S770, but 446, pretty strong. They also had a pair of 26 model planters, 26 1795, 24 or 20 inch Maximerge 5E, never used, 0 acres. And that brought $300,000. And they had a 26 model 1775 NT 16 row 30 Maximerge 5E, never used. That brought $218,000. So again, the dollars were flowing in Poplar Grove, Illinois last Thursday.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting to talk about that, because I've had a conversation with several people right now about the hole in used equipment inventory, right? And if you're looking at where that hole's at, you got a lot of 1 to 3 year old stuff, and you've got you kind of got the next kind of lane that you get into is that for older than 12-year-old stuff, right? And that's kind of where there seems to be a fair amount of that popping in the middle. The stuff in the middle that I would say ranging between 5 and 12 years old, 5 and 10 years old, those kind of things. That's really been ate out of the marketplace, right? And just like we've talked about on here, you brought up a few good examples of that. Some of those machines that you see selling that are 5, 7, 10 years old, stuff like that, they're in good shape. They look good. They're bringing a premium price, right? You're seeing that coming. I was waiting to see, of course, this is just one sale, so you don't have a trend by one data point, but looking at this combine sale you just talked about, and coming in at almost $450,000 on a 24 model, low hour machine for sure. 238 engine hours on a 24, so this would be its third season when it goes through the 24 season, 25, 26. Yeah, so this would be their third season going through that, and it'd be interesting to watch to see how other things stack up. If you go back, rewind this show back to January, we were talking about what's it going to look like after planting season's done, right? This is the time frame that kind of sets the tone for the end of the year. And if you have a down draw in this time frame, that usually carries over to the end of the year. And we did see a little bit of a dip. You go back
a little bit of a dip, but
about,
it's
about 30 days ago, but now it's coming back, so we're going to see how that carries through the year.
Well, there they are, mocking you.
See you next year, loser.
That weedy area that's got you thinking, man, I hate that spot. Wish I'd sprayed better. Get the last laugh with a sprayer upgrade from John Deere. Precision upgrades that can increase your sprayer's performance, like ExactApply, advanced nozzles to give you more control at more speeds. It's just one of the many precision upgrades you'll find at johndeere.com. Now, let's see who's laughing.
Looking for more accuracy, more productivity from your current planter? Let's get exact with precision upgrades from John Deere. Start with ExactEmerge and get accurate singulation and spacing at 10 miles per hour. Or choose ExactShot to promote early root growth and cut fertilizer costs. And with FurrowVision, save time by verifying seed depth right from your cab. Visit johndeere.com/planter upgrades and see why nothing runs like a Deere.
Kirby had another comment, Casey, I thought was interesting coming off the sale last Thursday. He said, I think, of course, I was in Scotland. I wasn't tracking the markets, but he said he thought and felt, and Kirby's very plugged in. Kirby's a sharp guy.
Yep.
And I think corn had dropped right before that sale last Thursday. And he said he felt like the market was ready to run and then maybe just a little rain on it. But even so, they got those results they got. And like you say, I never hang anything on one sale or one data point. I mean, that's
right.
That's why we work with 1,500 companies. So yesterday,
Right.
our friends at Big Iron, as part of their sale, had a really nice farm sale. We did a promo on it. I think it was, I don't know if it's pronounced Chappell or Chapel, Nebraska.
Chapel?
Chapel, yeah.
Yeah.
So it was from there. But they had a 10-year-old 2016 Massey Ferguson WR 9870 swather.
Okay.
And very nice, 1,015 hours on it.
Mm-hmm.
Sold for $137,750. Now that's another all-time record high auction price on a WR 9870. The previous high was March of 20. So you're talking 6+ years ago. That was in Hubbard, Texas. And that was 122.5. So this one went 15 and a quarter over. But it's that 10-year-old. And again, what's a new one cost? So to me, and oh, by the way, on that same sale, another combine point of interest, kind of a later model, smaller capacity. It was a 23 model Case 6150, super sharp. Had 436 engine hours, no heads, went for 261 and a quarter. And that's the highest auction price on a 6150. Now, granted, you don't see those every day, but 29 months, that's the highest hard cash auction price.
Yeah.
So, again, I think, Casey, the two trends are that generally speaking, used inventory has really pared down. And the other truth is folks aren't buying new. So, I mean, you gotta farm what you gotta farm. So what you need is the best used. And these data points in Texas, in Nebraska, in Illinois, in two sales in Illinois, again, coming off that little respite, like you mentioned, when auction prices kind of took a breath, maybe a couple of weeks back. And my experience over 36 years has been when you get giddy up now, you've seen it. I mean, it tends to not go backwards.
Right.
Now, again, next week, tomorrow, all new sales. But that 446 to me, that was kind of buoy in the water on that one last Thursday. Because a 2-year-old S770, I mean, super nice, but 446, write me a check today. That's where people might say, oh, that's not that strong because what's a new one cost? But that is exceedingly strong.
Yeah.
That's the highest ever paid at auction by $8,000. So that was outstanding.
Yeah. Well, that windrower you just talked about, that Massey windrower, I'm bringing 137. I mean, that 1,000-hour windrower, you take a look at it, but that's a strong number. That 137.
Very strong.
I mean,
well, again, it's over 15,000 hard cash over, the highest I'd ever seen and that was from 6 years ago.
Yeah.
But now that was and Big Iron does a really good job with this, and Sullivan's, of course, and Ritchie Brothers doing excellent work too on their farm sales, to, really highlight them within their events. And they really did a nice job on this one. Now, it was beautiful stuff. So on a farm retirement type thing, and I believe it was in a retirement. It could have been an estate. I'm not, off the top of my head, not sure, but beautiful equipment, just like the sale in Poplar Grove last Thursday. beautiful equipment. You get that little premium. But again, also last Thursday was the Wheeler sale, which was, it's a consignment. It's a dealer farmer consignment.
Yeah.
When you have a 6-year-old DB80, 48-year-old, you don't see that many of them, but you know how that can work at auction. That can just as easily work against you. But to sell for $311, and Kirby saying, Pete, before the sale, that thing was just bumping. So that tells you the demand for good used out there right now, even though new isn't selling. And again, it's because that supply thing is wedged down. We've talked about it for a long time now. And this is the piece where January of 25, I was starting to write about it. You were starting to talk about it to the farm audience. Like, hey, just eyes open on this, because if you assume that used values are going to be soft because the ag economy is soft, it was shaping up to me like that was looking to be, unfortunately, a false assumption.
Yeah.
Maybe that was the way you've seen it through your whole career, your dad's career, or whatever, but because there's fewer dealers and because of what the dealers did in 24, smashing that late model stuff out to auction, absorbing humongous losses, this is different. This is the new normal. The way you've been saying it for quite a while now.
Yep. And it's going to continue to be tight. I mean, order writing period's coming up now for every manufacturer, right? This time frame through probably not the end of October-ish time frame, something like that. There's not a long line outside the dealership looking to go buy a bunch of new equipment, right? So you're going to see a continuation of what we've seen over, 24, 25. These orders for 26, they make a 26 for 27 delivery. It's just they're going to be actually probably a little bit less than they were last year's delivery. So again, the amount of equipment being replaced on the marketplace is going to continue to shrink, and that's going to continue to drive, where that market comes into play. And the auction activity that we're seeing too is not died off either. You know what I mean? Like if anything, it's getting high up more and more.
High level. And, it's very interesting. And again, every economic cycle is different. I mean, we see history tends to rhyme with things we've seen in the past. But in the past, I mean, I've been doing this almost 40 years. When you get pressure on the ag side, you get an increased number of auctions. In the past, when that happened, dealers had too much late model used on their lots. And now the dealers 2 years ago were very proactive, paring it down to the point, like we talked about 2 weeks ago, when I heard a large Midwest John Deere dealer say, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I wish we had more used. So this timing of the increased number of auctions right now is actually, I mean, I don't mean to say it's a good thing, but people need good used equipment. If they aren't buying new and they're able to scratch the itch enough with the auction market. Now, the interesting thing is, that S770, think of the runner-up bidder there. Okay, so he didn't get it. He's still looking. Right. And like you said, the dealer's end is tight, and the sales of new is looking not rosy. So, and people know from years of, thankfully reading Machine Repeat, hopefully, but the end of the year tends to do what it does.
Yep.
You can see tea leaves there that are running counter to what farmers know, which is what's the market. There's times are tough, more auctions, prices must be dropping, or dealers must have too much stuff. That's that new normal you said. This is different.
Yep. And it's tracking the same way. I mean, we had that little, like you talked about earlier, we talked about this a little bit, last couple of weeks, we saw this dip in the market, and sometimes that's a seasonal thing you see, and sometimes that seasonal thing doesn't exist, but it happened this year. But now you look on the backside of that where things are rolling. It's again, watch what happens this month and into July. Typically sets the tone for what's going to happen in the beginning of the fourth quarter there as you start going through that September through the end of the year time frame. And that really was going to set that tone. And right now, again, one data point is not a trend, but
Lots of data points are.
Yeah, several are, and it would be extremely odd to see that strong of sales come out this week, and then 30 days from now, barring some black swan event or something like that. But I mean, as things kind of progress along, that they wouldn't have a similar.
Well, right, and we need to, like Joey Martin when we interviewed him before their 13 hours on the mic yesterday, and that was on the heavy side. But he said something, Casey, that you and I know it, and anyone listening to this podcast knows it too. That it's all about condition.
Right.
So that 10-year-old Swather was mint.
Yeah.
That S770 was the nicest you're going to find.
Right.
That DB80 that brought 311. It's what people want. And again, remember what Kirby Fecht said with Wheeler Auctions and Real Estate. He said, Pete, it felt like the market was ready to giddy up, and then the price of corn backed off. Mm-hmm. And even so, they had a really solid sale last Thursday. So it's fascinating to follow this stuff.
Yeah.
And people, you can certainly have opinions on prices, and fair game to say, oh, that's way too high or whatever, and then that's cool. But again, you can't argue with the price. It brought X on this day in this area.
Yep.
Chapel, Nebraska, that WR 9870, 137,750. That's the nut. That's what it was worth that day. Mm-hmm. And because the supply side is tight with used, the really interesting thing, Casey, is what would happen if corn and beans jumped. That's why I wrote at the start of last year in 25, I said, I don't know when or why that'll happen, but when it does, it's 2022 all over. Because you're not going to have any used, you're going to have people want new equipment, and they're going to have to get in line because they ramp up. Now, maybe this won't happen for a long time. I hope corn and beans go up. But what's happening in the used market right now, this has never been before. And this is before any markets take off. So you could argue here that this is exactly why at the manufacturer level, a lot of the structural changes in their distribution have been done. Because dealers 2 years ago, there aren't as many dealers. They're huge. They just dumped 1, 2, 3-year-old stuff at auction. They were paying 8% interest. But now you've got the conditions ripe for new sales to take off. You just don't have any money for farmers, corn and beans.
Right.
But when you start to see these used values go up when times suck, excuse my language, then again, we're kind of off the rails here. I just haven't seen this in 36 and a half years before.
So I'm looking something up here, and I was just curious. We both have our ratio that we follow when you're looking at new to used versus that. And I was like, well, let's just go look real quick at a 2024 combine with less than 500 engine hours, what that looks like as a whole marketplace.
Yeah. Yeah.
And all makes, all models. Right now, the average listing price out there is about $530,000. Right. So if that one sold for $446,
and at 243 engine hours, so it was a nice one, but and that's where again people will say, "Oh, that's not that great a price," but it's tied into those. Like, what would at the very top end, like a 24 model, really really low hour machine, like what would a dealer be asking? Would you guess on? We can look at our website, Machinery Pete, and search by the highest price on the S770. 24
well, so I turned it back down to 300 hours, and it didn't really change much. It stayed around, someone out there's asking $1 million for one, $999.
Yeah.
Whatever. Right. Yeah. But the average price is $534. Right. So if you do the math on that was sold for $446. I'm at that 120% rule, right? That's kind of that's my barrier where the healthy marketplace is at. Well, 120% of that auction value, that gives you about $90,000, roughly, give or take.
Yeah.
So that puts you into that low $500,000 range for retail price, and that's kind of where that's at. You look at that.
And what was the average you said again? Was
534.
534. Okay. So, I come at this equation the opposite way. I'll take the average auction price divided by the average dealer ad price, and with those numbers, it's 83.5%.
Yeah.
And the 26 years I've been tracking that, 71 to 76% is kind of the normal. And when you drift above into that low 80s, whether it's tractors, combines, whatever, historically, that's the giddy up that Kirby was talking about. Like it feels like it wants to go.
Yeah.
Now, a month ago, we were talking used combines, and that was, there was no wind in the sails at the moment. That's why, as I travel around, even yesterday down in the heart of North Texas, ranchers were coming up to me, a couple guys saying, I thank you for compiling this stuff, because if you're really plugged into it, you can be on top of these lulls whenever they hit, or conversely, when the giddy up hits.
Yeah.
And that's where I suppose any market, your stock market, land market, whatever. But, if you wait until everyone knows it's on the way up, you're just going to pay more. Or conversely, if you're selling, selling before the wind comes out of the sails, however you're coming at it, being plugged into the, what did it sell for today? That's why I've been doing this for 36 years. So we want people to go into Machinery Pete and see what this stuff just sold for, because it can save you big, big, big money. And, if you save $10,000, $20,000 on a deal, and that savings might be not buying something, it might be not paying too much.
Right.
But keep that money where it belongs in your checkbook, in your bank account, earning interest. So then when the deal is right, you can be aggressive when everyone else is pulling back. That's how you make your empire, in my book.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. All right, Greg, good place to stop. If folks want to reach out to you and have you come down and film their auction or speak at one of their events, the easiest way to just go to machinerypete.com or go over to your social media sites.
Yep, just hit us up there. Little email button, phone number on our website. We got a couple of auctions. We'll be filming in July in Illinois for the TV show. We'll be in Alex Kerr has an auction. Check out kerrauction.com. Collector sale July 9th in conjunction with the is it Penfield, Illinois, I think, the big annual collector event there. So that'll be big fun. And by the way, they have two sister serial number 4455s on that sale. They're going to sell sell together. I've never seen that before. Right. That'll be fun. Yeah. And then July 14th in Mount Pulaski, Illinois, Mike Moskey Auction Service. Fantastic farm sale. Just beautiful, beautiful equipment. We did an interview with the owner on it. Can't wait to get down there to film those sales.
Right on. Okay. All right, Greg. Check me out. You can find me on all the social media places, either at Moving Iron LLC, or you can go to Moving Iron Podcast, either one. Check the audio version of this out over on AgWeb and go to the YouTube channel, Farm Journal's YouTube channel. You can see the video version of this over there as well. If you are a dealer and you want to go talk to other dealers about what's going on in the marketplace, go check out the Moving Iron Summit. All the information is there on the events page on the Ag website. Greg's going to be there talking about some stuff going on in the auction space and interviewing a couple of the auctioneers up there. So that'll be good fun. And I'll be up there talking about stuff too. So check it out. If you are interested in hooking yourself up with other dealers and you are someone that has something to do with the dealership space, by all means, it's a great place for you to sponsor. So
it's the best dealer event in the space, folks. Moving Iron Summit, Casey, hats off, brother. You started that thing. It's fantastic. End of September. I can't wait to be down there. It'll be awesome.
Man, I'm looking forward to it. Louisville, Kentucky, September 23rd through the 25th, if I remember right. I could be off on those dates, but it's somewhere in that week.
Get a little good Kentucky bourbon while we're down there.
There you go.
Just a sip.
Just wet the beak a little bit, right? Yeah.
I was sampling the scotch last week. That was very good. I'm ready for Kentucky bourbon next.
There you go. All right. That'll work. Well, Greg, appreciate you being on the podcast. We'll catch you in next time.
You bet. Have a good week, Casey.
All right. Let's go move some iron, folks. Out.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again next week. And remember, Moving Iron is available on Farm Journal's YouTube channel and anywhere podcasts are found. So until next time, let's move some iron.